It's been about an hour since my last post. We haven't had any customers yet, and if the gas station were an active crime scene, I might have asked one of the other employees to squeegee the large pool of blood into the drains by the cooler. For those of you out of the loop, you may want to catch up on listening to my earlier posts. I don't know what Arnold's personal grooming routine looks like, but I have to assume he spends at least 20 minutes on mustache prep per day. But even factoring all that in, he should have made it to the gas station by now. I called him a few minutes ago to make sure he hadn't gone back to bed, to make sure I hadn't imagined the phone call in the first place. The conversation went something like this. Yeah? Hey Arnold, you on your way? Sit tight, we had a little emergency. Okay. The road between you and town is blocked off. Okay. Which one? All of them. Even the service roads have been hit by a freak storm. I've never seen anything like it. All the roads are covered in trees, but they aren't, fallen. The trees are just growing in the middle of the street. I've been trying to find a way around all morning, but I've given up. I'm about to head through on foot. Just to be clear, you said you heard from Spencer Middleton last night? Has he made any other contact? Well, actually he's here. He came in, and some stuff happened. Now he's dead. What? You're telling me there's another dead body at the gas station? What? I already told him all of this. Man, I really miss Tom. Did you not realize that? I'm sorry, he answered. When the phone rang earlier, I had just woken up from this beautiful dream of a dark god calling me into his eternal grace, taking me by the hand and guiding me into this blessed oblivion, freeing me from all the pain and suffering of this mortal prison, nurturing me like a child and inviting me into the realm of higher existence, allowing me the privilege to devote myself to his glorious servitude. Okay, I said. I guess I'll see you when you get here. I ended the call and checked the charge on my phone. The battery was sitting close to 50%. What's the deal, Lucille? Asked Benjamin. Arnold is on his way here on foot, but we might have another problem. Holy shit. Did you guys see that? Carlos asked, pointing out the window. I couldn't quite make it out from here. I was seated behind the counter. But I didn't feel like hobbling over a corpse just to look. What is it? I asked. It's a bunch of naked people out in the roadway walking this way, Carlos answered. The hell did you say? Said Marlboro, suddenly taking an interest. He pressed his face against the window for a better look. Those aren't just any people. I know them. That's Marla. And Tyler. And there goes Fred. At least, those were the names I gave them. Benjamin crossed over from the frozen drink machine, throwing a quick, "They friends of yours?" over his shoulder. Family, actually. Well, they were anyway, before they disappeared, but I don't remember them looking like that. Like what? I asked, starting to get an uneasy feeling. Like, he took half a second to find the words, but all he came up with was, they look funny. They continued walking closer to the gas station, close enough by now that I could see them, at least a dozen people, stark naked. The closer they got, the more details I could make out. The more I wish I couldn't. Their eyes were milky, pale, maggots crawling out of infested crevices all over their bodies, their skin dirty and covered in lesions and bruises. Marlboro was certainly not wrong. They looked funny. I'm sure you know the Hollywood-style zombie walk, the shuffle of an undead person with impaired motor skills. The scariest part of these people approaching the front doors of the gas station was they were walking 100% perfectly normal. Just a bunch of decaying nudists out for a stroll. There was a loud crash that snapped us out of our probably rude staring. We all turned around to see that Benjamin had pulled the frozen drink machine to the ground and was attempting to drag it over to Spencer towards the front door. The sticky syrup concoction spilled all over the ground, mixing with the congealed blood coating the floor in a red, brown, purple, viscous soup. There's no way we won't have an insect problem after this. Marlboro and Carlos didn't have to ask what was going on. They instantly knew the plan and began yanking down whatever fixtures weren't bolted in place, piling them up in a barricade against the glass doors. I would have helped if it weren't for this broken leg. Besides, it looks like they've got this under control. You boys think you can stay alive long enough for help to arrive? Benjamin asked. We've got almost 90 years experience between all three of us, Carlos joked. Benjamin directed the next question to me. You got any weapons in this place? I told him no. The only thing that I had was a half-empty canister of gasoline in the supply closet, and some really hard jerky, but he was welcome to whatever he could find. That's when he started MacGyvering some spears out of broken chair legs and broken glass from the drink case. About 10 minutes ago, the gas station lost power. Now would be a really great time to have a giant glow-in-the-dark pet butterfly. Stupid raccoons. It's been pretty quiet, save for the wet, guttural whispering coming from those people outside. Benjamin is still searching for weapons while Carlos finds things to push against the door. And, assuming he hasn't fallen asleep, Marlboro has taken the back door. I was feeling pretty useless after Benjamin confiscated my crutches, so I figured I would take this opportunity to type up the account of what happened, just in case Arnold gets here too late. And in the spirit of preparedness, I should say a few things to whoever finds this message. Or is it whomever? I could never get that right. First, to the owners. Sorry about the mess. Second, to her. I'm sorry we didn't run into each other one last time. Third, to whomever's been dumping tar in the ditch outside the gas station. I hate you. I guess that's all I have to say. It's been a wild, crazy ride. This is Jack from the gas station, signing off one last time. Edit. I didn't die! Sorry it's been so long since my last update. I just got my laptop back from the police. Special thanks to whoever gilded me, by the way. I don't know what to do with Reddit Gold, but it brings warmth to my soul. I know you guys are probably wondering what happened. Well, last week, I met a dark god. We were in the gas station without power for hours. It's cold this time of year, so we huddled around a plate of scented candles and ate pork rind and canned beans. Marlboro dozed off a couple of times before Carlos decided to loot the energy pills behind the counter. He handed them out and we all took a few, washing them down with cold coffee, telling ourselves it was for alertness, but all it did was create a heart arrhythmia. That sure would be funny, if all those things finally broke in just to find us all dead from heart attacks. Well, not funny, but, you know. Carlos tried to strike up a conversation with Benjamin a couple of times, but the bearded man wasn't very social. You Army? Nah. I knew a guy who was a ranger in the Army. You remind me of him. Okay. Those things out there. Any idea what we're dealing with? You ever seen anything like that before? Nah. You got any family? Nah. I checked Spencer's phone throughout the day, but it wasn't getting service anymore. I tried 911 a few times, but even that wouldn't go through. When the battery got to 5%, I turned it off. We might need it later for an emergency call. Eventually, the adrenaline pills started to wear off, and I remembered my leg was healing from a complex fracture, and maybe I shouldn't have agreed to come back to work so soon. I did the cripple walk back to the front desk to grab my meds. While I was there, I spotted the still unopened gift wrap package on the shelf beneath the register. I decided to ignore it. Instead, I grabbed the employee whiskey bottle that was behind it. We told ourselves it was for our nerves, but all it did was give me an even worse heartbeat arrhythmia. A few more hours passed. After we killed the first bottle, we opened up another. The Marlboro got into the energy drinks because we needed mixers. At some point, the former cultist pulled out his stash and lit a joint, without asking, I might add, and turned the whole station into a hotbox. I couldn't remember if I took my pain meds yet, so I went ahead and took them. As the sun started to set, I had two thoughts competing for first place in my mind. First, it sure is getting dark early these days. And second, I think we might be a little too fucked up to handle what's about to happen. Time became even more illusionary than normal once the laptop died. We had no way of knowing how long we'd been waiting. We started measuring time in candles. Our snack food and morale raced each other to depletion. At some point, Carlos got me away from the others to ask what I thought about Benjamin. I told him he was the nicest guy who pointed a gun at my face all week, but Carlos told me that he had a weird feeling about him. I reminded Carlos that he had killed Kiefer a couple of times, and that maybe he should get off his high horse. Hey, Benjamin yelled across the room. What are you two talking about? Anime! I lied. I think he bought it. Get back over here. We don't need any more dead bodies piling up tonight. Benjamin was in the corner, warming his hands over a candle plate. It was the only source of light in the building, and some of it was casting shadows that could be described as spooky. If it weren't in such a life or death situation, some of those shadows were faces, smiling, laughing at us idiots. One or two of them looked like old presidents. One of them asked me what time it was. Holy crap, was I tripping. You okay, man? Carlos asked, snapping me back to reality. I honestly have no idea. Did you ever figure out who placed that bomb? Asked Spencer Middleton in a gurgle. What do you mean? I thought you did. Not me. Bombs aren't my style. Who do you know that can build a bomb? Hey, where's Marlboro? Benjamin picked up his spear, formerly my crutch that he had paracorded his knife to, and asked, Who the hell's Marlboro? Is someone here? Marlboro? The other employee? I looked at Carlos, who just shrugged and said, I don't know no Marlboro. How many of them pills did you take? Had I imagined Marlboro this entire time? Did I just Tyler Durden this guy into existence? I tried to sit down on the tarp, but it turned into me lying on my back while the room spun. I could feel human debris squishing beneath the tarp fabric as I rested my head. How much of this was real anyway? You're losing it, you know. I know. All those years ago, the doctor first tried to prepare me for my life with my condition. There weren't many other cases before me, so I didn't exactly know how everything would play out. But with every case, they had the same side effects. Of course, there would be weight loss, fatigue, headaches, all the signs of a normal illness early on. As the condition developed, there would be more interesting side effects. Hallucination, memory loss, the works. And of course, I couldn't be properly anesthetized. They tried in other cases to induce medical comas, but that just messed things up further. I'm always wide awake and halfway lucid during surgery. If you want to know the truth of what it's like, I'll tell you, it's boring. You know what? Usually when I hurt someone bad enough, they pass out from the pain. They gave me a couple years tops. I haven't kept track of the time. Right then, Marlboro walked in the room zipping up his pants. Presumably, he had just come from the bathroom, but who really knows? I pointed and yelled at him. That guy! You see him, right? It's Marlboro! Carlos looked where I was pointing and then back at me. What? You mean Jerry? Oh, right. That's his real name. I hate it when he calls me Marlboro. Benjamin set the improvised spear down and turned his attention back to the fire. You better get him under control. You should open your package, said Spencer. Wait a sec. Aren't you supposed to be dead? Well, aren't you supposed to be dead? He said back. Touché, Spencer. Who are you talking to? Asked Carlos. Spencer, I answered. Well, stop that. It's freaking us all out. 2 candles burned from start to finish before Benjamin decided that help wasn't on the way, and our best chance to survive was to fight the things outside. I disagreed, but Benjamin, in his own polite way, reminded me that this wasn't up for a vote. He peeled back the layers of the barricade just enough to get a view of the outside. Once we knew what we were dealing with, we could come up with a better game plan. Only, he couldn't actually get a good look because something was blocking the view. Something just on the other side of the glass doors. Benjamin yanked the rest of the barricade down and took a few steps back to marvel at it. Well, you don't see that every day, said Jerry. Nope, I can't do it. I'm sorry. His name's Marlboro. We were trapped in there, inside the gas station. On the other side of the doors was a network of trees that had grown together into twisted knots, pressed against the glass. They were so densely pressed into a single wall of tree trunks that not even light could get through. For all we knew, it was daytime outside. We have got to get out of here, said Benjamin. We checked the back door, but it was the same thing. I often wondered how long a person could survive inside the gas station without any new supplies coming in. I had run the scenario in my head 1,000,000 times. On boring nights, what else is there to do? I had run the thought experiment for countless different contexts. How long could I survive if the gas station were transported back in time? To another planet? If there were a zombie apocalypse? Etc. What I had deduced was that, under ideal circumstances, I could live off the supplies in the gas station for 4 years if I could find a source of water. 6 weeks, if not. These were not ideal circumstances. We had already smashed up, weaponized, or eaten most of our supplies. If we were trapped here, it wouldn't take us long to go all downer party on each other. While I was pondering this in the hallway by the cooler, we heard the sound of glass shattering in the main room. Benjamin raised his spear and led the way back. The wall of trees was still on the other end of the door. Our mess was still there. Everything was as we left it, with one exception. The tarp was pulled back and Spencer's body was gone. A series of footprints and coagulated blood leading from where he was to the shattered glass at the front door. Like, he'd just gotten up and was absorbed into the trees. "I need you boys to think real hard," Benjamin said. "Is there any other way out of this place?" "Well," Marlborough started. I shot him a look and shook my head, but I guess he didn't see it in the dim candlelight, or maybe he's just too dense to understand. "There is that hole." "Hole? What hole?" "The hole in the secret room in the back past the cooler." "Secret room?" "Yeah, right over here." Marlborough pointed at the blank space on the wall where the door used to be. The owners decided that the smartest thing they could do when they found out about the secret room was remove the door and build a good old-fashioned wall there and forget all about it. But that only works if everyone agrees to forget about it, Marlborough. You're telling me there's a secret room behind there? And a hole that maybe someone could fit inside and escape? Why didn't you boys tell me this earlier? He didn't wait for an answer. Benjamin went straight for the wall and started smashing it to pieces with his spear. And then, after he got it down a little bit, his bare hands. After a minute, the wall was once again a door. While Benjamin lit and placed a few candles around the giant hole in the floor, I grabbed Carlos and pulled him aside. "Hey," I said, "I should tell you something. I opened that package. The one that looked like a present." "Yeah?" he said. "Yeah," I said. I'm not sure at what point I finally cracked and opened it, but I had been carrying around the content of the box in my pocket for at least one candle. Just like the last package, there was a note with this one. It read, "I didn't expect you to use my letter as part of the last story, but thanks, LOL. I don't mind you using it. It was very neat. I liked it. I was very surprised. Thank you. And I knew it could be really great from beginning. That's why I wrote what I did. I was surprised, but in a good way, that you used my letter. Lol. Thank you. I'm honored. Really honored." Underneath that letter was a small handgun. I knew enough about pistols from playing video games. I know how to check the clip, and sure enough, it was loaded. I showed Carlos, who said, "That's a Ruger 380. "Is that good?" "Well, it's a gun, so it's probably got more stopping power than a chair leg." "Why didn't you give it to him?" Carlos gestured to our fearless leader. "I don't know him or trust him." "Good point." "Here," I said, trying to hand it over. "I'm not a gun guy." "No way, man. You keep it. I got both legs. You need it way more than me." Benjamin yelled at us from the secret room. "Y'all ready or what? Time to see who's down there." Then he jumped in. I may have neglected to mention that it was a 10-foot drop to the cave floor below. I also may have taken a little pleasure in the sound of him crash landing and the pain moan that followed. For the rest of us, we rolled up the tarp and put some knots into it like a poor man's rope ladder. I give the credit to the tarps. Those things are incredibly useful. We had spent hours above ground in a room with a dead body, unrefrigerated food, and Benjamin's body odor. We were all eating canned beans, and I think somebody threw up in the garbage can. My point is this. We were all smelling pretty bad, to the point where I was doubting that I still had a sense of smell. But once we got into that hole, I knew for a fact that we hadn't. The smell down there made our gas station funk smell like cologne. The very worst putrid odors came from the storm drain were nothing compared to this. Is it possible for a smell to be heavy? Because that's the best way I can think of it. Not thick, just heavy. Carlos and Marlborough took turns barfing. When they were done, Benjamin handed out torches he made from gasoline-soaked rags and chair legs. I don't know what this guy's deal is, but he sure is crafty. The cave was a straight tunnel starting under the gas station, heading away from town. It was plenty tall enough for all of us to stand comfortably, and there was a slight incline, taking us downhill as we walked further into the hole. "What the hell is this?" Benjamin asked after about 20 feet, waving his torch at the wall. I saw somebody had spray-painted a message on the cave wall in red. It said in shaky handwriting, "Rita the raccoon ate the cocoon." I said it a few times in my head, and was pissed off how close it came to rhyming but didn't, like a song slightly off-key. The handwriting was eerily familiar, especially the capital R, but I couldn't remember why. There was another lawn gnome on the ground beneath it. We continued further into the cave, Benjamin way ahead of us, me bringing up the table. Hobbling along the best I could on just a single crutch. The deeper we went, the narrower the cave, the stronger the smell. Nothing about being down there away from the gas station felt like an improvement from our previous situation. But it wasn't until we made it to the tree that I really decided that we had messed up. I don't know how long we'd been down there, maybe a half mile or so? Crutch miles feel a lot longer than normal miles. But eventually we came to an enormous black tree the width of the cave. One of those 1,000-year-old sequoias. Big enough to put a 2-lane road through. Holy shit, enunciated Benjamin. I was the last to see what everyone else was wide-eyed and gawking at. The tree, in addition to being enormous, had some characteristics that you wouldn't expect a tree to have. Specifically, human body parts. A few arms and legs poking out in random spots, and right at eye level, a human face. "Hey," said Marlborough, "I know that guy. It's Patrick." He touched Patrick's face and it peeled off and plopped on the ground like a wet Halloween mask. "I don't think he's going to make it," Benjamin said as he pulled something out of his pocket and stuck it to the tree. "What is that?" I asked. Surprisingly, it was Marlborough who answered. "That looks like C4 plastic explosives to me." Benjamin chuckled. "Wow, you win a prize for that one, Rain Man. Yeah, that's the last of my plastic explosives. I've been trying to kill this thing one piece at a time for the last week, but it just keeps growing back. I have to kill the root system, blow it up, kill the brain so the rest of the network will die." "That was you that put the bomb in the gas station," I said. "Yeah, well, back then I thought the building was the epicenter of the whole thing." "Hey," interrupted Carlos. "Jack was still in the building when you planted that." "I know." Guys?" Marlborough tried to get our attention, but it wasn't working. "You knew? He would have died if that thing went off. Guys, look, asshole, this is a war, and in a war, there's always casualties. You can't make peanut butter without smashing a few nuts." "Hey, guys!" "What?" screamed Benjamin. "I'm a little busy." Marlborough pointed back the way we came. We all turned around to see Spencer standing in the middle of the path, a wicked smile on his face. "Hi, miss me?" Carlos screamed at me, "Jack, the gun!" I pulled the gun out of my pocket and chucked it as hard as I could. It smacked Spencer right in the face and he fell over. I was very proud for the 2 seconds, until I realized I had done wrong. What came next almost happened too quickly for me to comprehend. Something burst out of the wall next to us, an enormous object, the size of a car and mostly hand-shaped. It wrapped its giant fingers around the other 3, and pulled them into the wall. And then, I was falling. The earth had opened up below me, and I was sliding through a dark tunnel. No, I was being pulled. More like swallowed, really. It went for a while, dirt filling my nose, ears, and mouth. And then, whatever it was, spat me into a pitch-black room onto a rocky, wet piece of ground. I landed on my bad leg again, and probably broke it. Well, I thought, at least this time, I managed to hit Spencer. As far as moments on Earth go, that one was a slight improvement over the last week. I was in a cool, not cold, and cavernous room. I could hear my breath echoing off the walls. I could also hear something else breathing. All at once, I became aware of another presence down there. The entity in the room with me. It's hard to explain. In the same way I remember it being hard to explain a dream right after you wake up. It's something you have to experience to understand. But the feeling was something being plugged into a shared consciousness with another intelligence that was putting thoughts directly into my head. Of course, it may have just been all the drugs. "Welcome to my home." A loud voice came from somewhere in the pitch-black room. "I'm sorry it's taken this long for us to meet face to face." "I can't see anything." "Yeah, which part of Dark God don't you understand?" "Oh shit. I'm in the throne room of a dark god, and he sounds like an internet troll. Which, I guess that makes sense. Might as well get this over with. Do you think you could maybe turn on some lights so I can actually see who I'm talking to?" He let out a very human-sounding sigh and exclaimed, "Fine." Out of nowhere, the entire room turned into an intense, furious bright white. All I could see was pure light. I covered my eyes, but even then I could see the bones of my hands through my eyelids. Even with the meds. That shit hurt. Too bright, I yelled. "Split the difference." "Wow," responded the voice. "I didn't realize you were going to be such a big baby." And then, just as suddenly, the brightness relented. After a moment, my pupils adjusted, and I could see what I had been talking to. "Behold," it exclaimed, "and tremble before the dark god." He, if it was a he, I'm just going off the sound of his voice, was about the size of an elephant, swollen and round with a yellow tanned hide. The best animal I think I could compare him to would be an enormous tick. 6 rows of stubby arms on either side, 6 rows of sagging breasts, and a human-sized head on top. The head contained a somewhat human face and no neck. The body connected to the earth at the widest point in its stomach. It was like half buried, and to top it all off, the whole thing, he had a red mohawk. He smiled at me. Eh? What do you think? About what? My hair. Isn't it amazing? He looked up at his mohawk. Yeah, I guess. You guess? Do you have any idea how much effort I put into doing my hair like this? You know what? It's fine. I shouldn't have wasted my time trying to impress you. That's on me. Okay, I said, attempting to push myself to my feet, only to remember that my leg was pretty broken. I was immobilized, underground, high, and without any weapons. There was really no chance of escape. If you're going to kill me, do you mind just getting it over with? What is it with you people? So untrusting. So prejudiced. Why is it any time you see something you don't understand, you think it's kill or be killed? I'm not the monster here. You are. I can see into your soul. I've seen your sins. Remember the time when you were 15 and keyed the principal's car? No? Really? Maybe that wasn't you. All humans do look alike. Why am I here? Why did you drag me underground? Because, Jack, I can't find another way of talking to you. I wanted to tell you to stop killing my children. You've burned up so many of us. What did we ever do to you, huh? The Kiefer plants? Yeah, just back up because that idiot is so clumsy. They're harmless, though. I've been trying to put some people into office so I can get a little political influence in this awful town. To take over the world? I asked, even though I was starting to see where this conversation was going. No! I wanted to pressure the city council to cut back on logging. I'm trying to save the world, but you and your awful friends keep killing us and trying to blow me up. But Spencer, he beat the shit out of me. That guy is awful, and he's following your orders. Well, excuse me for thinking that people have the potential to be rehabilitated. I hired Spencer because I needed someone to protect Kiefer, and I gave him very specific orders not to kill anyone, which he agreed to. But you've killed tons of people, the cultists, their entire compound. Yeah, actually no. I hate to say this, but those guys killed themselves. It was a really sad mass suicide. But if you listen to them, I think it was pretty obvious. You guys should have seen it coming from a mile away. I mean, consequentialism mixed with a moral obligation to end suffering? He waved one of his 6 arms in a jerk-off motion before continuing. I didn't want to let all those perfectly good, fully formed adult bodies go to waste. Do you even know how hard it is to make one from scratch? It's not easy. But you sent those things after us at the gas station. Again, with the self-centered hero complex. It was never about you. I sent my children to bring Spencer's body back here. I was hoping that I could get him home in time to rebuild him without any permanent brain damage. I think the next time you see him, you should apologize for what happened. I swear, ever since Romero made zombies cool, people see a dead man come back to life and instantly get this urge to kill, kill, kill. Whatever happened to calling this a miracle? Nobody freaked out when Jesus came back. Are you saying Jesus was like those mathematists? Just a reanimated corpse? Is this really what you want to talk about, Jack? But doesn't Dark God mean like evil? The last time I was awake, Dark God had a completely different connotation. But you can't use my branding as your excuse to keep burning up Kiefer. You ask me, you deserved that ass whooping you got. But I searched my mind for any proof that the Dark God was a monster. I knew him to be. But the only thing I could come up with was the icy cold realization. We're the monsters? I'm afraid so. I'm sorry. Good. That's a start. So this is it? You're the reason all the weird stuff goes on at the gas station? He laughed again and wiggled his head, which I took for his version of shaking no. Nope. I'll be honest with you. I have no clue what half of the things are. Your gas station is weird. Even I don't know why. The hand plants and the Kiefer were me. I'll fess up. The smell, that's me too. But that other stuff, man, that gives me the heebie-jeebies. You know that glowing worm bug thing? That was pretty weird, huh? So, what do we do now? Now, I send you and your friends back home, and you quit killing me. That's my deal. Can we agree to that? Yeah, I think so. Good. Should we shake on it, or... At that moment, a hand burst out of the wall and wrapped its fingers tightly around me. Next thing I knew, I was coughing up dirt on all fours outside the gas station. Oh, good, said Benjamin. You made it out, too. I looked over and saw the other three standing there, covered in black dirt. It's back where it started. All the trees were gone, leaving no sign that they were ever there in the first place. The gas station was a wreck. The front doors were smashed out, and the raccoons were excitedly running a loot train for whatever edibles they could carry from the front door to their nest in the back. What happened, man? Asked Carlos. I'm not really sure, I answered, digging clumps of dirt out of my nose and ears. Well, you're lucky. Your friends made me wait a few minutes to give you a chance to get out. I looked at my hands. They were nearly black from all the layers of dirt coating them. Wait, for what? I asked. For this, Benjamin answered as he pressed a button on his remote detonator. Somewhere, deep in the woods, came an explosion that rocked the earth, sent birds flying into the sky. Carlos's car alarm went off and the pavement cracked. A black cloud slowly started to fill the sky, and I felt something in my mind scream and die. Well, Benjamin said, my work here is done. If you don't mind, I'm going to get lost before the 5-0 shows up. And then he walked off into the forest, hopefully never to be seen again. And that's what happened. If you can believe it, I'm back at the gas station working again. Arnold is on personal leave from the police force. I didn't care to ask for details. So we have a new deputy babysitting us. I'll tell you all about her another time, maybe. The police investigated the incident and ultimately concluded that we were victims of hysteria brought on by a gas leak. And once again, there was nothing supernatural to be reported. I don't know if this is the end of the Dark God, but I do know I haven't felt any compulsion to continue digging ever since Benjamin blew up that underground tree. Things are settling back to our brand of normal. I still work way too much, I'm still keeping a journal, and weird things still happen at that shitty gas station at the edge of town. In fact, just yesterday people started reporting that they had seen something in the woods that looked like an enormous raccoon with bat wings, stealing small animals before flying off into the forest. They even said that this winged raccoon glows in the dark. Marlboro just came up to me and asked, you know there's a guy in the bathroom dressed like a cowboy? I assured him that I didn't know that. This may be the last update for a while. It's going to be a lot of work to put this place back together, but I've got a whole new crew of part-timers to train. So, until next time, Jack. Guys, if you enjoyed this series, please, please, please make sure you go pick up the book from the author. It is absolutely amazing. I know I personally own the book. I've given it as a gift. It's just so incredibly worth it. All the author links are in the description.